There were tears in Borman's eyes as we said goodbye to each other. I couldn't help but feel a little touched by how soft the big man really was beneath that fierce exterior of his. We'd only known each other for a few days, but truthfully, it seemed far longer than that. We'd fought together, killed together, survived together. A friendship forged in fire can't easily be broken. Diamonds were easier to shatter than a true bond of brotherhood. That was just a fact. Now, back where I come from, boys were raised to be sterner than that, and to never show weakness in front of anyone. But my time spent wandering had taught me well and true that there wasn't anything wrong with showing vulnerability and honest emotions to those you trusted. People are made of stone, and trying to live your life, like you were, was a good way to send yourself to an early grave. So, while bearing that in mind, I cracked a big grin and gave Borman a tight hug. Ain't it funny how quickly fondness can grow between strangers? We started off at each other's throats and ended up swearing oaths of comradeship to each other, just like that. Borman wasn't just a good guy to have around in a fight, he was my buddy. And my buddies were basically my blood. I didn't have a lot of them, so they were precious to me. I died to protect them, and I killed to avenge them. In my opinion, that's just how it should be between folks who care for each other. It makes perfect sense to me, Sir Matthew, Pete would tell me later as we discussed the matter. Truly profound friendships are a rare find in life, but when you discover one, it's as though you've always had it. Such are the mysteries of Nakama. Nakam what? I asked him. Nakama. It's a Far Eastern Terran concept which describes a sacred bond between comrades who share a dream or a similar goal. I find it quite fascinating. Pete? Sir? You've been watching that pirate cartoon again, haven't you? Yes? Dial it back, Pard. You're going a little overboard with it. Never, he declared. We'll see each other again, big guy, I said to Borman. That's a damn promise between brothers. Count on it. I look forward to it, he said, after finally breaking off our embrace. Come to my keep, Boarhold, far to the west of here in Borland. I will be proud to host you as my honoured guest for the winter. Every day we'll hunt the finest game and seek out perilous foes with glorious battle. We'll end our evenings telling tales of our valour while laughing and drinking. My people will treat you like family. Well, I don't know about all that perilous fighting, Brian, but I'll gladly take you up on free food and drinks for the winter, I said with a worried smile. Excellent! Then it is decided, Borman roared joyfully. I'll see you this winter, brother. Oh, and bring more of those wonderful Machina chairs when you arrive. My sisters and my father will hound me night and day for chairs of their own once they discover the one you made for me. That I can do, I said, laughing. Borman and I then clasped hands and bid each other a fond farewell. Then he stepped onto the portal circle that Amenda had prepared. With him stood the three captives, Amenda and the little girl who'd been travelling with them. She looked at me and smiled. I responded in kind and gave her a big, silly-looking wave, which was rewarded with an uproarious belly laugh from her. I hope she forgot this place quickly. Poor kid didn't even have a name. She'd been in those pens far longer than anyone else still breathing. Might have even been born in that horrible place. Borman swore to me that he would adopt her into his household and see that she was raised with the care and love that a child deserved. Even Amenda was fiercely protective of the kid. Should any mistreat this dear one, they will know my displeasure, she vowed with crimson eyes. Yeah, that was good enough for me. In a flash of brilliant light, they were all gone. Defiance Keep stood nearly empty with only me as its sole occupant. Well, Pete too, I guess. After having so many people here, it would take me a while to get used to all of this new silence. Oh well. It was time to get to work. A short while later, I had some Tom Waits blasting on the radio as we sorted the various parts Pete had generated on our crafting table. We were in the underground section of the keep that I called the workshop, a name I'd given to it because that was precisely what it was. A place where Pete and I could work out concepts, put things together and try out new ideas. The kind of place that I've sorely needed ever since I first arrived on Trevenium. See, despite my middling success so far, I'm still only a Knight in Scepter. The word limitation on using my forging was a mighty hindrance that held me and my partner back from reaching our full potential. The siege on Vexephius and his army only succeeded because Pete and I had taken the time to carefully craft our weapons and armour and plan things out carefully beforehand. And let me tell you, the success that we tasted because of our precautions was a heady brew, and I'd be damned if I didn't want to take another sip of it. That meant no more random battles, no more scrapping while unprepared and barely surviving, no more being chased around by petty minions and underlings. That sort of thing was now beneath me. From now on, I was going to be the one who decided when a fight would begin, and to ensure that, I'd be as deliberate as a punch to the jaw. I'll take planning my moves out in advance for 400, Alex. Dang, why was jeopardy on my mind so much lately? For an example of my new foresightedness, take the armor I'd recently worn while sweeping out Vexephius' manor with Borman. That had been a good start, and it had definitely spared me more than a few wounds during that fight. But the armor could have been so much more than just a steel wrapping for blunting the enemy's weapons. It really could. Listen, I've played the classics, so I know what I'm talking about. Halo, Fallout, Crysis, and I've also seen all 3 Iron Man movies. I even vaguely knew what a Space Marine was. I knew exactly what I needed to up my combat capability. I needed to be big, strong, and indestructible. I needed to be the very embodiment of an unfair opponent. I had to be the worst possible card a bastard could ever dread drawing from the deck. I needed a mech suit. Powered armor, that is. And that's what Pete and I were working on. It stunk that I couldn't just say power armor and be done with it. But there were workarounds to my limitations. I just had to put the time in. Just as we'd been able to create Skywolf by creating individual components one at a time, and then using my combine command to assemble them, we did the same with the gradual crafting of this new armor. It was going a bit slower though, because creating a genuinely effective mech suit from scratch involved a lot of trial and error, but we were getting there. Soon I'd be just as safe and snug in the middle of a war zone as I would have been in the comfort of my own bed. The best part was that once we had a working model, Pete could save the schematics to his nearly limitless memory and recreate it at will. Once assembled, I'd have a fleet of vehicles, drones, and weapons at my disposal. A robot army, even. More than once, I looked at my forge ring as we worked and felt just a little unsettled by how powerful this thing really was. Far more than I realized. And it made me feel like an absolute idiot for how I'd been using it up to this point. I could never let this thing fall into the wrong hands. I just couldn't. You didn't tell him, Pete abruptly said, interrupting my moody introspection. It was an interruption I felt slightly grateful for, even if it was due to a subject I'd grown tired of discussing. Pete, listen, buddy, I said to him. It's not that I'm not going to tell Brian. We're pals and pals deserve honesty, even if that honesty could hurt their friendship. I'm simply implementing a well-known alternative strategy designed to avoid any unnecessary conflict. Really, it's a masterful move, Pard. Oh? What's it called? Pete asked curiously. A deathbed confession, I said with a sage nod. Man, I could be clever at times. What? Pete asked again. A deathbed confession, I happily repeated. See, Pete, I want to stay friends with Borman, but that doesn't also change the fact that I did him a serious wrong, and I need to atone for that by fessing up. However, doing it right now, well, that would just cause all kinds of problems for us, wouldn't it? I suppose it would, Pete said, in a strained tone of voice. It sure would, I agreed. So instead of ruining everything like some selfish jackass, I'll just let him know what I did when I'm dying of old age. Either that, or I'll tell him just before he dies. Either way is fine. Fine? You say it's fine? Pete asked me. Sure. In the meanwhile, I'll get to stay friends with my new buddy, and the demands of honor will eventually be satisfied at a future point in time, where it'll be far too late to really cause me and him any unnecessary distress, right? Pretty smart, huh? Pete was very quiet, for some reason. Pete? Pard? I said it was pretty smart, right? So Matthew, let's stop discussing this, please. The way he said that put a frown on my brow. Pete, you sound kinda upset to my ears, Pard. Come on, don't hold back. Tell me what's weighing down on that big heart of yours, I said to him. Well, Sir Matthew, I cannot help but notice that, in the midst of your scrambling to offset the consequences of your unseemly and sordid actions, there's one factor you forgot to consider, Pete said heatedly. Huh? And what's that, Pete? I asked him in confusion. That this is not a love triangle. It's a love quadrangle, and I am the fourth participant. What the hell? Pete? You want to run that one by me again? I think I'm missing something. I replied.
Oh, Sir Matthew, 'twas not only you who lay with Lady Amanda, don't you remember? You bore me on your hand as you fornicated with her.
Yeah, I did forget to take you off my finger, that was my bad, I said to him with a raised eyebrow.
And the things you did with that finger, P said. Oh, how she writhed beneath my touch, screaming for ecstatic release as we guided her to a paradise of carnal delight. I am as much a sinner as you, for I gave in to her guttural demands for greater release, and submitted to her lascivious charms.
Now, hold on, man, I was doing most of the work there, and...
Oh, Sir Matthew, there's no need for you to take sole responsibility for our shared indecencies. I am a lustful beast, a shameless seeker of sexual sensation. I have been bad. I have been so very bad, Pete cried out dramatically.
Okay, stop, I demanded of him. Listen, man, I assure you, in this situation, fancy as you are, you were just a ring. Pete, you can let it go. You didn't do anything wrong.
Just a ring? Pete shouted. No, Sir Matthew, I'm a ring that has been immoral. Oh, how can I ever again look Sir Borman in the eye?
Pete, you don't have any eyes.
Sir, your ambivalence over what we did is disappointing, Pete said ruefully. If you won't confess our misdeeds, then I'm afraid I must. You may prefer to hide this mistake in the past and pretend it never occurred, but I have higher standards for my personal behaviour. I will not continue in abidance with this disgrace.
Pete, I yelled fiercely, you will do no such thing.
But I must. I must.
All you must do is what I say, boy, I said to him angrily. Pete, I consider you a good friend and partner, and I ain't never been one to yank the leash. But I'm putting rank here, okay? I order you to keep this business under your hat. Don't say a word to anyone about what we done. You got that?
Oh, is that how it is? Pete growled.
You're damn right it is. This is a complicated situation, man, and I'm sorry, but you just don't understand how us flesh and blood folk really operate, alright? You can't always do the right thing, Pete. Life just ain't that simple.
Oh, there it is, Pete says sullenly. It finally reveals itself. There's that callous streak of self-interest masking itself as a moral code. You sound just like Jonah right now.
And just who the heck is that supposed to be? I asked him. I didn't know anyone by that name, other than the story about the fellow in the whale.
Who is Jonah, you ask? Just someone I'm certain you'd be thrilled to be compared with, Pete said coldly. Very well, my lord. I shall make no mention of our depraved dalliance with Lady Amanda to Sir Borman. It is my great pleasure to forsake my personal honour for the sake of your self-centred convenience. Truly, it is.
Oh, shut up, man, I said angrily. You know, you can be a real stuck-up know-it-all sometimes, you know that? Don't act better than you are.
At least I abide by my guiding ethical principles, Pete snapped. They're really all I have, since apparently I just don't get how you flesh and blood folk operate. Okay?
Asshole, I hissed.
Coward, he spat back.
We didn't speak again for a while. 3 days, in fact.